Hi everyone, it's Nick, back with another Lawless Films review. Today, me and Tyler are going to talk about Borderlands, the new Borderlands movie that just came out. But before we do that, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you stay up to date on all new upcoming content. Okay, so we saw Borderlands last night. It had a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes, so we wanted to see if it was good or bad or not, and it's not that great. What did you think of the movie, Ty? What was your initial reaction leaving the theater?
It definitely wasn't a great movie, but I also, it definitely didn't deserve a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes either. So I think that that's a big distinction. I think it deserved somewhere in the 30s or 40% range.
I'm in agreement. When I saw the 0 Rotten Tomatoes news that came out, I was like, oh wow, this movie's gonna be atrocious. And it's definitely not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I think there's some good things about it where I don't think it deserves a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, because there are some really mediocre movies that don't get a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. They have just a bad review here and there, and I think that's kind of what this movie is about. So what I initially noticed in the movie is there's a lot of colors, and that makes the movie stand out in a certain stylistic way. I think a lot of the time, though, it gives me a headache, just how many colors I'm seeing.
Yeah, it was a lot of, it's not even, real colors, too. It was very clearly, CGI-generated background colors, which could be, a little distracting, and I can understand why it would give you a bit of a headache. I thought the CGI looked good most of the time, but then there was just random shots that would just look really, really bad and kind of distract from the rest of it, and it would remind you that you are in a CGI place and they're not really in a real space.
Yeah.
But the scene would start and it would feel like a totally real space, and then there would just be one shot where the background just looked so off and you could tell it was just a green screen. It just didn't work. With
Ariana Greenblatt's character throwing the bombs off of the bus, behind her.
Yes, yeah, towards the beginning of the film when she first runs into Cate Blanchett. I thought that scene definitely needed a little bit more time to cook in the CGI department.
Yeah. We should also preface that neither of us have played the Borderlands video game that's based off of, yes. So we're just strictly talking about from a movie perspective. The movie starts with a lot of exposition about this secret, I forget. It's a doorway, and you need the key,
yeah.
And you need the person, the chosen one. There's a prophecy behind opening this plot device.
Yeah, this MacGuffin.
Yeah, and that voiceover alone from the beginning was very iffy. Is this movie rated R or rated PG? This is PG-13.
No, it's PG-13 only, I think.
Yeah. Because when you do abbreviations, oh, that's a bunch of BS. And it's you're just abbreviating to keep it PG-13.
Yeah.
And it's kind of noticeable.
Yeah.
And I don't like when sentient voiceovers kind of start off the movie.
Yeah.
I never liked that.
When it's just exposition dump at the beginning so that you kind of know what's going on they're telling instead of showing.
Exactly. I want to just quickly talk about one of the positive things that we both thought came out of the film, and that was the actors' performances. Despite what you think about the writing and the production of the film, I thought all the actors delivered. I thought, with the exception of that fat bad guy in the beginning that puts on the virtual face of the main bad guy, I thought his performance was very, very hammy. Other than that, though, I liked everyone's performance. I thought Ariana Greenblatt's performance was very good. I liked how much confidence she had in every scene that she was in. She definitely stole the show. I liked the way she skipped. Other characters walked. Yeah. She skipped with her hands out. She had more head movement, tilting her head. She's a very natural actress, and whenever she was on screen in the scene, I was instantly drawn to her specifically.
Yeah, she could hold her own in scenes against Cate Blanchett, which is something not every young actress could say. Definitely, and I just thought the standouts for the movie for me were Ariana Greenblatt, Cate Blanchett, and Jack Black, who I did not know voiced the robot until the credits started to roll.
Yeah, me neither.
So I thought the three of them were the ones that I would single out as the best, and they had the most to do, and I thought they all did a really good job. I also think Kevin Hart and Jamie Lee Curtis did really good, but I wish they had a little bit more to do.
So now we have to talk about the script. Whenever you do a movie review, and whenever you have a good movie or a bad movie, it really always falls on the script. If the script is good, it's going to be a good movie. If the script is garbage, it's gonna be a garbage movie. And I think what people didn't like about Borderlands specifically is the writing. It's written and directed by Eli Roth. This is very in his vein. He's very like out there kind of sometimes. Like I said, the exposition in the beginning, that was bad. I think some of the jokes are kind of misplaced. Like every other line is a kind of a joke, and that's fine, but then I don't want those serious moments like to happen so soon afterwards. So like it starts and you get this prophecy. I know Kate Blanchett's on this mission to find Ariana Greenblatt's character. She's kind of already like, bad guys are already chasing her. There's this one female bad guy who has like a friendship with Roland, Kevin Hart's character. Her inclusion into the film was extremely pointless in my opinion. What were you gonna say?
I was just saying, her inclusion was rushed. Like she was just there, and you kind of got like one little throwaway line that like her and Kevin Hart know each other. And then at the end of the movie, she just decides to, turn to the good side and then is immediately destroyed, like vaporized. And it just felt like a random inclusion. Like the whole subplot of her was very, I felt unnecessary.
We just need a bad guy to chase our main characters the entire movie, but we'll do it with a twist by making her good at the very last second. Okay, whatever, it's not that interesting. There's always that one scene in a lot of bad movies that kind of drive me off of a wall, and it's in a lot of movies. It's that scene where someone is talking to someone else and someone else is overhearing the conversation but out of context.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a trope. In that moment, I didn't buy that the conversation that they were having, like the girl would interpret that as her betraying the group, because she could have done that a lot earlier.
Yeah, and it's not like the girl already knew she was sent by him to go get her. So I get that she overheard the conversation and maybe thinks that she's still working with him, but it's not like it was new information really, anything that she even overheard.
It seems like her character is a good judge of character. So she has conversations in heart-to-hearts with Kate Blanchett before that moment. So it's interesting that at that moment she reverts back to not trusting her. I felt like they could have killed Kevin Hart's character off in that moment in the doorway when the rest of them are going up the elevator and he has to stay behind and put the wires together, because then he just needlessly comes back in the end. The group separates when they don't really... The story tries to separate the group into that classic we're all together, oh we're separating, oh now we're back together again at the very end to unite as a team. You could have just killed Kevin Hart's character. So this entire film we're trying to find these 3 different keys to get into this doorway, and they kind of just throughout the film they kind of just find the 3 separate pieces of the keys. They kind of just find them. There's no really set quest really to find the keys. They're looking for the doorway, and then on the way to the doorway they just find the rest of the keys and stuff. And it's okay, whatever. I thought you guys kind of be looking more for these specific things, but you're kind of just finding them along the way. And so throughout the entire film, spoiler alert, you think Ariana Greenblatt is the chosen one who's gonna be able to open the key or open the doorway, but it ends up being Kate Blanchett. And you actually called this in the beginning of the film, and then after you called it, I started noticing little clues that they're hinting more at Kate Blanchett's backstory, that it has to be something like that.
Yeah, I knew absolutely nothing about the plot of this film or the video games and stuff, but as soon as it started and Ariana Greenblatt kept being I'm the special one, I was oh, okay, screenwriting 101 tells me she's not the special one if she keeps having to say it. And I was alright, and then the only other main character that really feels like she's a daughter of this planet and in her backstory is Kate Blanchett. So I was alright, it's probably Kate Blanchett. She's the one doing the voiceover. That makes the most sense.
Once Kate Blanchett looks at the video message that her mom left her, she knows that it's her that's the chosen one. But once she knows that, she's somehow able to have complete control of her powers when before she had no idea she had powers at all.
Yeah, and I'm still a little bit confused on if she knew she was the one that teleported them out of the elevator when it shot up.
Right.
Because we do a little flashback and it shows she did that, but when it happened, did she know she was the one that did that? It's never really explained, and I was kind of curious and to how that worked.
Now, in the end, she's able to teleport seamlessly to wherever she wants. And it's wait, you never teleported before in your life, and then you did it once when you're in distress, and then suddenly now that you know you're the chosen one, you have complete control over it. It makes no sense. And, like, it's the classic, like, once you get to the doorway, once you get to your set destination, the bad guys are already there waiting for you to, like, do the job for them, which happens in a lot of movies again. And then, like, Cate Blanchett's the chosen one. She's able to make all of her friends invincible for a moment, and that kind of looked like the video game. I don't know if that was part of the video game, because they have that classic, like, swirl around each character where you see in like it's like the star in Mario where like you get the star and then you turn rainbow, and that's almost like what happened at the end of Borderlands. I don't know, there was some needless tension where like Cate Blanchett gets hit and like the other friends like become powerless in that moment, but then it's like you just set up that she was the chosen one, you just gave everyone else like invincibility shields. How did she get knocked out then if she was so powerful?
Yeah.
And like why are we worried in that moment if she's able to just control her powers and make all of her friends invincible again? There's so many questions at the end of the film that kind of just bother me and linger.
Yeah, the third act is definitely rushed. The film is already pretty short. It definitely could have been like 10 minutes longer and maybe given us a little bit more there. I kind of liked that it was short also because I was getting bored towards the end.
Yeah. In the beginning, you think the characters are really interesting, but by the end of the film, they don't give you enough to commit to the idea that they're interesting. When they finally get into the doorway, it's kind of just, glowing rocks. Like, why did they need to get into this doorway?
Yeah, they don't really explain at the end what they're gonna do with all this, like, alien technology that was apparently like this super smart race of people that used to live on this planet or whatever. They kind of find it, like the bad guy gets eaten by some random like tentacle monster that happens to be in there. They don't really tell you why there's a tentacle monster in there, but there is. And then the tentacle monster eats him. And then you just see the whole planet sort of celebrating afterwards. There's fireworks with Cate Blanchett, and it seems like everyone's really happy that Cate Blanchett did this, but you don't really explain, like, is Cate Blanchett using those resources down there to help the planet? Like, what's going on? And
that's the second tentacle monster we see in the film, and it's the less interesting one. The one you see near the beginning when they're doing the chase is more interesting because you see more of the body. Like, in the end, you just see sentient tentacles come from the ground and drag the main bad guy down. What is this thing? Why is this thing here? Like, so many questions unanswered and very unfulfilling ending. That reminds me, I guess the best moment of the entire film was that initial chase. That once Cate Blanchett meets the group and then the bad guys are chasing them, that initial chase before they get to the city with all that action is probably the strongest part of the film.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Except for that random, like, pee joke with the window being open. I felt that was like, oh, like, wouldn't it be funny if they were covered in pee? Ha ha ha. And I didn't really it didn't really work for me, but okay.
Yeah, overall, it's kind of a mess, but like I said, there are some redeemable qualities to the film that justify it not having a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Overall, kind of an unfulfilling film. Yeah. Any last thoughts?
I will say, as one of my final thoughts, when Bobby Lee showed up, I was very distracted. All I could see was Bobby Lee. He was acting like Bobby Lee. I was like, you know what? He does not need to be the person that plays this role, but whatever. It was funny.
Yeah. All right. On
that note,
thank you for watching this review. Like I said, if you like this video and you want to see more, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay up to date on all new upcoming content. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.